Hello everyone, it's Emmanuel Cooke. Today we will be reacting to a new video and I hope that you guys enjoy the video.
What is something that you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud?
That a lot of parents out there regret having kids. A lot of women have been sold on the idea that being a mother is everything and that if you don't have kids, then what good are you? And then once they have kids, it's not all flowers and roses like they've been told. Nobody tells the truth about the real cost in having kids. Babies are born sick and they have ailments. Partners can't handle it and they bail. And then it's a great disappointment that the child grows up to be something totally different than the idea that you have in your head. And once the resentment sets in, they tend to lash out at people who chose not to have children. Mostly out of jealousy because they have the freedom to do things while you still have a child attached to your hip. So if you're considering having kids, think long and hard because having a child is a lifelong commitment. It doesn't end when the kid turns 18. It lasts a lifetime.
Fertility rates are the lowest they have been in a very long time right now. And people are constantly asking, why are people not having kids anymore? Why do women and families want to opt out of having children? What's happening? And let me tell you, there's many reasons people are choosing not to have kids, but the cost of having children is a major factor. There are many families that want to have children that simply cannot afford it in today's economy. So just to put it into perspective, I'm going to show you my daycare bill for this month. Okay, I have 2 kids in daycare. They are both toddlers. We go to a town-based daycare center. It's kind of run by like the rec department. So it's not a center-based daycare. It's not some fancy schmancy daycare. But if you look, you will see that I am paying just over $3,000 a month for 2 children to attend daycare. $3,000 for 2 children. And mind you, I have 4 kids. And my older 2 need after-school care and summer camps. And that's a whole separate conversation. Now, if you're doing the math, you'll see that's just shy of $40,000 a year, but I do have 4 kids, which means on average, for the last 5 years, we paid anywhere between $50,000 and $60,000 a year for childcare because we are paying for camp and after-school care and school breaks we're paying for care. The cost adds up and it doesn't go away when they get to school age. And here's the thing, childcare was always expensive, but it continues to skyrocket. It is one of the fastest rising costs in our country, more than housing, more than groceries. It is skyrocketing. And so families are choosing not to have children because they simply can't afford childcare. And oftentimes they can't afford to leave the workforce because the cost of housing and groceries and everything else that you need in order to raise a child is also insanely expensive. So it is a very sad fact, but many families are opting out of having children right now because they simply cannot afford it.
But I don't think being a parent is that expensive. One thing people always tell me is like, oh my God, I don't know how you do it. Like, kids are so expensive. And like, yes, but no. And I think that it boils down to like lifestyle choices and the things that you choose to do for your children. I think a lot of people overspend on children by buying unnecessary items. Your baby, your toddler does not need Nikes and the freshest Jordans or whatever the heck. They also don't need 100 million thousand toys. And that is one thing that I learned really early on, is that a lot of that stuff is just junk. I feel like being a girl mom too, like I fall victim to this, to buying like the super cutesy things, especially now that she's getting a little bit older. But when she was a baby, I kept things very gender neutral so that they could so the items could be like worn a bunch of different ways, and it just made it more practical and useful. And I didn't spend a lot of money on unnecessary clothing items. I also didn't spend a lot of money on unnecessary shoes or unnecessary toys. I leaned a lot into like Montessori style parenting, which I feel like really helped me cut the cost, because there's tons of different things that you can look up on Pinterest that you already have in your house, because Montessori toys are more expensive, but they last a lot longer. Like my daughter still has like wooden food, that like toy kitchen food that I bought when she was a baby, and it's lasted. She's almost 6 now. So while parenting is expensive with the necessities as far as like maybe daycare costs, because that's outrageous, but it's also expensive when you're just like splurging on unnecessary items that the kid is not going to play with. And I think that knowing your kid and seeing what they actually like, and you know, helping your family, like my family gets really excited for birthdays and holidays because I do not allow them to buy like extra junk, but that's a good time where they like stockpile a bunch of like necessities, whether that's the next size up in clothes, getting her gift cards to her favorite places. She's older now, so it's like, yeah, like get her gift cards to Starbucks, and that helps me save cost overall. maybe I'm just a little biased, but in my experience personally, like having my child hasn't been overly expensive. I mean, I do wonder how much money I would have if I didn't have her. But I feel like it would be the same. My life would just look slightly different, but that's my opinion.
This is my biggest regret about having kids later in life. So I had my first daughter when I was 34. I had my second daughter when I was 36. I'm now 37. And we waited to have kids intentionally. It's something we talked about, prayed about, but I really wanted to be financially stable before we had kids. That was the main reason. I also wanted to travel and enjoy being married. So we were married almost 10 years before we had our children. And there's a lot to be said for waiting to have kids. There are many benefits like financial stability, maturity, all of those things. But this is my regret. I genuinely regret not having them sooner. And here's why. When you're a female, especially if you wait to have kids until your mid to late 30s, as you know, your risk of complicated pregnancies, birth defects, genetic disorders, those go up as you age. Your chances of getting pregnant goes down, and you're just more tired, you're more exhausted, and it's harder on your body. And the thing is, we absolutely love having kids. And I kind of have this feeling like if we would have had kids 5 years sooner or 10 years sooner, we would probably have another kid or two because we just love our children so much. And something that people don't talk about or tell you about having kids, and some people do, I guess, but it just gets better and better. Our 3.5-year-old is absolutely amazing. I know I'm biased because I'm her mom, but she has the coolest personality. She's so fun. She's fun to hang out with. And she's just like your little buddy that you want to do everything with. It's amazing. And she has her own personality. And it's honestly like the sweetest, most incredible thing. And I do think that our culture, especially in America, has fed this path to women that after college, you need to focus on your career for the next 10, 15 years and then maybe have a family. The focus is definitely not, go to college and have kids and figure out career later. So I went down that path. I had a very successful mother. She's amazing. She did incredible things with her career. I went down that path as well. Started my own business right out of college, did that for almost 15 years, built my career, had a lot of purpose, enjoyed what I did, but I can honestly tell you that nothing compares to the purpose, contentment, and joy that I experienced from being a mom and having children. And it's true, you only get so many eggs, you only have so much time. Women have this finite window where you can get pregnant and start a family, and it's worth it. Yes, it is easier in many ways to wait so that you have that financial stability and maturity and a marriage and all of those things. And that's super important, but you don't get time back. That's the thing. So my biggest regret is that my husband and I did not have kids sooner because we both love being parents. And it's just different with him being 44, me being 37. It's hard to imagine having another baby so close together. So that is our experience having kids later in life, and I'm genuinely curious what you guys think.
I really need someone to tell me if having kids is worth it.
It's not, and I'm gonna explain why. If you're new here, I'm Melissa, your millennial wife, mom, and homie, so I'm gonna tell you like it is. It is not worth it if you are not ready or cannot mentally wrap your head around being a parent 24/7, no matter what. And that means if you have a loss in the family, if you're sick, if your partner is sick, if your partner passes away, if basically any unfortunate situation, you still need to show up and parent. It's not worth it if you are not ready or cannot wrap your head around that you will now become second. And when I say become second, it's not always, it's not forever, but at least for a specific amount of time until your child starts to get a little bit more autonomy. Their needs come before yours. It's not worth it if you have some type of, and you recognize some type of unresolved trauma, either from your childhood, past relationships, whatever the case is. It is not worth it if you have some type of unresolved trauma that you have shoved all the way down, do not want to explore, do not want to talk about, because I 100% guarantee you that that will resurface when you do become a parent. It's not worth it if you are only doing this because this is what my parents want, or this is what my husband wants, or this is what society dictates I should be doing. It's not worth it if you're trying to keep a man. Like, for real, parenting is one of the most realest things that you can do, because this really requires you to, like, it's not even a shift, like it's a whole new chapter. It's a whole new chapter in your book. Like, this is no longer, I am not the same Melissa that I was before I became a mom. And it's a whole new life. So if you are not ready to wrap your head around, like, my priorities are going to change, things are going to change, my needs, wants, friendships are going to change, relationships are going to change. If you are not ready to kind of understand that and go with, you know, the ebbs and the flows, then it's not worth it for you. It's not worth it for you. It is one of the most, to be a good parent, to be a good mother, it's one of the most selfless things. Not for a long time. That's why I have a thing on here, get yourself a life outside of motherhood. But it's one of the most selfless tasks that you can do when you're doing it right.
I regret being a parent. Now, before you come for me, please hear me out. For the longest time, I didn't want kids. My husband and I were on the same page, and then we got to year 11 in our marriage, and through some discussions and things, we decided we did want to start a family. We changed our minds, as people do. And I think we went into it thinking that it might not even happen, because we had some friends with fertility issues and things like that. So we thought maybe this might not even happen for us. So we're just going to go ahead and try anyway. Instead, it happened very quickly. And I think that kind of shocked us a bit. And for 2 straight weeks, I cried thinking about it, because I was like, what have I done? I've ruined my plans. What am I doing? I got over it after the initial shock of it all. And then the pandemic hit, and we had our daughter, and I thought, great, now this is not going at all as what I thought. And it was hard, but I love my daughter. She is hilarious. She is so sweet. She's so smart, witty. I can be having the worst day ever, and she knows that, and she'll give me a hug, and she brightens every part of my day. And I love being her mom, and I love being a mom. But there were a lot of reasons why I didn't want kids. And one of those reasons was that I didn't want to bring a kid into a world that was declining as it is. And I don't know if this happens every generation. I don't know if every generation has thought, what am I bringing my kids into? But especially with the state of things as of late, I look into her eyes and how bright it is and how wonderful she sees everything. And I just think, what have I done? Because one day it's not going to be as bright for her. And look at everything that's happening. So in that respect, I regret being a parent, even though I love being a mom. And I just wanted to share that with you today, in case anybody else feels that way.
Can we talk about the hidden costs of having kids? So I'm a bit angry about this. This week I got a call from early childhood education. They said I have to grab my kid. They have some kind of rash on their hand. I have to take them to the doctor, sign off to come back. Fine, makes total sense. I go to the doctor and the doctor's like, it looks like dermatitis, but you should keep kiddo home for the next 2 days and then come back and we'll sign off and then kiddo can go to childcare. Okay, well, the cost of that appointment is $68. The cost to come back is around $68 out of pocket. Now I miss 2 days of work, so I'm losing out on my wage. And on top of that, I have to pay childcare costs for those 2 days that kiddo isn't there. That's over $1,000 for something that's not infectious. No one else is going to get sick. No one else is going to get it. All because the doctor doesn't want to sign off on it. Now, but this is just an example of what we don't see when it comes to kids.
That is it for today. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and like, comment, and subscribe down below, and see you in the next video.